All right, Dana Williams here from Achieve Performance Training and Coaching. Andrew Waite just got back, as you can see, from Leadville. It's his second year doing it. Just wanted to talk to him, ask a few questions, share some of his knowledge for anybody out there that's considering doing Leadville or looking to do it. So, first of all, Andrew had a great ride this year. Rode just over an hour faster, 8:45. Last year, 8:46. Oh, we got the
9:49,
time right there. Yep. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions, Andrew. First, let's talk about preparation going into last year compared to this year.
Sure.
What would you say are a couple, two of the main, the differences?
Well, one difference in the actual training workouts, the difference. I did a number of very long rides last year. Really, because it was my first big race like this, I wanted to get my nutrition and hydration and everything down for 8 to 10 hour rides. So I've never done that before, so I was really anxious about that. So I did every month. I made it a point to try to do one big ride, 5 to 9 hours. This year I didn't do that. I did a couple of races, longer races instead. I did a 50-mile race in Tahoe. I did a 100K in Tahoe, and I did a 100K in Wyoming. Ayers Hole, the week before Leadville. So I kind of switched my program, instead of doing big training rides, to do races to get more of a sense of the racing. That was one big thing. I guess the other thing is, being first time Leadville, you're all like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what to do. I'm going to just learn everything, try everything, overdo it. And I think I may have overdone it a little bit last year than this year. Pendulum swung a little bit. I did a lot of intensity work, but I targeted my longer rides to be races rather than just rides.
Okay. And then what about during the race? How did a few things different unfolded this year compared to last year? I know last year the time difference there was flats involved.
There were flats.
Anything else during the race that you approached differently or executed?
Yeah, certainly. So last year I flatted 4 times, which was really unfortunate because I ended up having enough tubes for all of that. So if anybody's planning to ride that race, carry as many tubes as you can.
How much time did that you think take out of you last year?
It probably took about a half hour out of me last year. So I finished 9:49 last year. It was probably more like 9:20, 9:15.
Okay.
But so that was my number one mindset going into the race, was to not flat. So I toned it back a little bit on the downhills. I know my strength, unfortunately, for this race is downhill versus the other racers. I'm always passing people on the downhills, so I figured that was part of my race I should focus on last year, and I ended up flatting because of it. There's just a lot of really rocky stuff. This year I increased the tire pressure. I went with a hardtail. I got 29-inch wheels. Those are all differences from last year, and I was a little less aggressive on the downhills. I didn't scale it completely back, but that was a big mindset I had, was that there's also when wind is a big factor in this race, because there's long stretches of road between the dirt, and you have to work together. And getting into a good fast group is really important. So I wanted to make sure, as I was approaching those road sections, that I was getting up to a group that I thought was going to be able to pull me along at a good pace to keep my time goal in check.
Awesome. All right, that's good. That's great. What would anybody, first timers out there, 2 or 3 quick tips that you would suggest that you learned between the 2 years?
So, number one, I think thinking about getting started early is a good thing. I started really training in May before the race last year. This year I pretty much trained all year long, but don't overdo it on the big rides. I would say do make sure you get your nutrition and hydration checked, in check, and make sure you're comfortable being on the bike that long, because that is something that will be, if you're new to that, new to Leadville, that's going to be new for you. One of the biggest things that every first time and second time and third time Leadville participant thinks about is the altitude, because hardly anybody lives at 10,000 feet. Last year and this year I had, and I've read everything online, I'm sure people who are watching this probably did the same. If you show up the day before, or you show up 2 weeks earlier, or nothing in between, well, every person's a little different. I found last year that after about 10 days, altitude was, I agreed with me, I was not nearly as affected by it. So I followed the same program for myself last year to be there about 10 to 12 days before the race. And I actually stepped it up. I started in Wyoming where it's about 7,000 feet. I did a bunch of rides between 7 and 9, and then the following week I was in Leadville at 10,000 feet and doing train rides there, obviously, as I taper down. So those are just a couple of the big things. Get your nutrition down, make sure you can stay on the bike that long, and exert yourself for that long, because it is a long day, and get ready for the altitude. And it's going to be different for every person, but I do know, I've not heard anyone who got there less than or more than a week before that had a problem, but I've heard a number of people who got there the day before that have had problems.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Congratulations.
Yep.
Great race.
Thank you very much, Dana. I appreciate all the help.
Thanks for watching, and keep it safe, ride hard. See you next time.